You know that feeling, right? Trying to spot something early in crypto, maybe a project that could really take off.
Definitely. That hunt for the next big thing.
And lately, the base blockchain, well, it's been getting a lot of buzz, seen some serious trading volume there. It hints at potential.
It really does. Seems like a hotbed for activity right now.
So let's get right to it. We got some material from a listener looking at two specific decentralized exchanges, DEXs on Base.
Okay.
And our goal today is really to unpack that, try and understand what makes them tick, their potential based on the tech and where they stand right now.
Sounds good. So we're looking at Treble Swap, ticker TRAB, and Alien Base, ALB.
Exactly. Both DXs on the Base network. And the core question, I guess, is which one might offer, more growth potential in the current market.
Right. Based on this specific info. So we'll dig into the details, provided market size,
Yeah.
the tech they're using, and what the source thinks about their future.
Okay, so the material, it kicks off with some real enthusiasm for the Base chain itself, pointing to all that trading volume it's attracting already.
Yeah, and that's important context, isn't it? That overall bullishness on Base.
The feeling seems to be that maybe now is the time to find these promising projects, just starting out there.
Absolutely. A belief in the ecosystem's growth definitely helps the apps being built on it, like these DEXs. Getting in early, that whole strategy.
So let's jump into the first one, Treble Swap TRP. The source calls it a Module V4 DEX on Base.
Module V4, okay.
And what caught my eye immediately is the claim it's the first V4 DEX to launch on Base. That sounds like it could be a pretty big deal.
It could be, yeah. V4 usually means advancements in the tech, the features it can offer. Being first with that on an active chain like Base. That might give TrebleSwap a real technical edge.
Great edge, right.
And the source mentions a whole suite of DeFi features, too,
Yeah.
for like regular folks and bigger institutional players, things like on-ramps and off-ramps.
Ah, yeah, making it easy to get money in and out. That can definitely lower the barrier for entry for people.
Exactly. Streamlines the whole thing.
Now, the market's view on TrebleSwap. Its market cap, according to the source, is only around $1.3 million. That seems quite low.
It is low, yeah, especially compared to more established DEXs out there.
So that smaller cap, often seen as having higher potential for like percentage gains?
Right. That's the usual thinking. But it also comes with more risk, usually. Early stage project.
Makes sense.
And the source also notes that the big crypto data sites, like CoinMarketCap, hadn't fully integrated V4 DEX info at the time.
Ah, okay. So that might explain why it wasn't maybe as visible, or why the market cap seemed lower.
Could be part of it. Less visibility can sometimes mean a lower valuation, at least initially.
Okay, now let's switch gears to the other one, Alien Base, ALB. This one's described as a V3 DEX on Base.
V3, so older tech compared to Treble's V4.
And right away, a much, much bigger market cap, around $20 million, based on the same source. That's a huge difference.
It is huge. What, like 15 times bigger than Treble's? That probably reflects Alien Base being around longer, maybe getting more traction already.
Yeah, and the source mentions its past success. It apparently climbed from a really low point, like $200 K market cap,
What?
all the way up to over $90 million at its peak. That's described as an insane amount of X's, around 400X.
Okay, 400X. That definitely makes you sit up and take notice. Past performance isn't future results, but still.
Still impressive history.
Yeah.
But the source also kind of suggests that maybe that explosive growth phase for Alien Base is well done.
Right. The feeling is its current valuation seems very much high compared to where it started.
So the potential for another 400X might be less likely.
That's a key point. Once a market cap gets that big, another massive percentage gain is just statistically harder.
Right.
The source actually projects maybe a 10 to 15x potential for Alien Base from here, which would put its market cap around, what, $200, $300 million?
Still significant growth, but not the moonshot maybe seen before.
Exactly. And it's worth noting Alien Base is listed on tracking sites, CoinMarketCap included, under various names. So it has broader recognition.
Okay, let's put them head to head then, based on this analysis. First up, the tech. The source really hammers on Treble being V4, more advanced, more features than Alien Base's V3.
Yeah, the V4 versus V3 distinction.
What does that actually mean for someone like using the platform? What's the practical difference?
That's a good question. Often, newer versions like V4 bring improvements in capital efficiency, how your money works when you trade or provide liquidity.
Okay, so maybe better prices or lower fees.
Sometimes, yeah. It can translate to that. And V4 can also enable like more complex trading features that maybe weren't possible on V3. So it's not just a label. It could mean a better, richer experience.
Gotcha. Now, market cap and growth potential. We mentioned alien base, maybe 10, 15x potential, hitting that $200, $300 million range.
That's the projection from the source, yeah.
But for Treble, the projection is way, way higher, described as an 87x potential. Can you walk us through how they got that number?
Sure. So the source's calculation, it seems to be based on a hypothetical scenario. What if Treble swap reached the same market cap alien base hit at its peak?
Which was around $100 million.
Around $100 million, yeah. So they take that $100 million target and they divide it by Treble Swap's current market cap, which they cited as $1.14 million in that.
Slightly different number there, okay.
Yeah, around $1.14 million. So $100 million divided by $1.14 million gives you roughly 87.
Right, so it's purely a what-if based on matching alien base's past peak. Important context.
Absolutely. It's a potential based on that specific comparison, not a guarantee.
The source also talks about the current price. Views Treble as being at the absolute floor, around 35 cents. Mentioned it stabilized after mid-March.
Okay, consolidation period maybe?
Yeah, though it did pump to like $3.73 after launch initially. Alien base, though, is seen as being very much high compared to its own floor price.
Mm-hmm. So that view of Treble being low could make it look attractive as an entry point, right?
Yep.
If you believe in the upside.
Potentially, yeah.
That price stability after the initial hype might suggest, a base is forming before another move, while alien base being higher might make some investors a bit more cautious.
Interesting point. Neither of these DEXs are apparently listed on any big centralized exchanges, CEXs.
Oh, okay. That's pretty common for newer DEX tokens initially.
But the source says Treble is supposedly talking to some exchanges. No names, no specifics, just talking.
Well, getting listed on a major CEX can be a huge catalyst.
How so? What does it typically do?
It just massively increases visibility and accessibility, opens it up to way more traders and investors who maybe don't use DEXs directly.
Right, easier access?
Yeah, often leads to more trading volume, potentially upward price pressure.
Right.
So Treble exploring that suggests they want wider adoption. But without details, it's just potential news for now.
And the fact alien base isn't listed, maybe the source sees that as limiting its future growth compared to Treble, aiming for those listings?
That could be part of their reasoning, yeah. CEX listings can really change the game for a token's reach.
The source also gives a subjective take on the user experience. It says Treble has a better design, more features packed in.
Like what features?
Like staking, cross-chain swaps, spending without KYC, and even a launchpad with the token burns and buybacks. Sounds like a lot.
It does sound comprehensive. A good UI, user-friendliness, plus those features that can definitely attract and keep users.
Staking obviously incentivizes holding the token.
Right. And cross-chain makes it more versatile, letting you trade assets from different blockchains. No KYC spending appeals to the privacy crowd.
And the launchpad with burns and buybacks, that affects the tokenomics, right?
Exactly. It can potentially reduce supply and increase demand over time. Positive pressure if it works well.
Also mentioned, Treble seems active, weekly voice chats, Telegram communication, that kind of stuff. How important is that community engagement?
Oh, it can be really valuable, especially for newer projects. Builds trust, encourages people to stick around, provides feedback to the team, suggests they're engaged, which is usually a good sign.
Okay, but here's a potential downside mentioned. The current trading volume for Treble, pretty low, around 32K when this was recorded.
Oof, 32Ks. That is low.
Especially compared to over $1 million on some days right after launch. That's a big drop-off. What could cause that?
Well, a few things. Initial launch hype fades, that's normal. Or maybe broader market conditions turned less favorable. Or maybe the project just needs to do more to keep users engaged in trading.
So it's something to watch. Low volume isn't great.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
Healthy volume means more participation, more liquidity, usually tighter spreads for traders, more stable price action. That contrast with the launch volume suggests they might need to, rekindle that activity somehow.
Okay. Finally, the source sums up with a really strong bullish take on Treble, calls it a no-brainer buy, insane potential.
Wow, no-brainer. Strong words.
Yeah, citing the V4 tech, low market cap, being on base. They even think YouTube algorithms will push it. High conviction there.
That's certainly a high level of conviction. And look, while that enthusiasm can be contagious, it's so important for you listening to remember this is just one perspective.
Right, one analysis at one specific time.
Exactly. Crypto is super unpredictable. Early-stage projects, especially on newer chains, they carry significant risk. That potential for huge gains always comes with potential for huge losses, too.
Gotta approach those no-brainer calls with some healthy skepticism. Do your own homework.
Absolutely. Use it as a data point, not as gospel.
So let's try and wrap up what we've pulled from this source material. We've got Treble Swap, newer V4 DEX, much lower market cap on the buzzing base chain. The source sees its tech and features pointing to really high growth potential.
Compared to Alien Base, the older V3 DEX, much larger market cap, already had that huge run-up, and maybe, according to this source, more limited gains ahead.
Right. So Treble's the potential high-risk, high-reward play based on this info, while Alien Base is maybe seen as more established but with less explosive upside left.
That seems to be the core argument presented, yeah. This dive into the material gives us that snapshot, the appeal of new tech and low valuation versus established presence. But it also, implicitly flags the risks.
And that leads us, as always, to the crucial reminder. This deep dive looked at information provided to us reflecting one specific viewpoint at one moment.
Precisely. Before you even think about making any investment decisions, it is absolutely essential you do your own thorough research, look at multiple sources, weigh different opinions, and really understand your own tolerance for risk.
Consider this discussion a starting point, maybe some things to investigate further, but definitely not the final word.
Couldn't agree more. Your own due diligence is key.